Marine reacts to SCP-343, also quickly known as God in the SCP universe, by TheVolgun. And also, top 26 questions to ask SCP-343 by Tats TopVideos. So today's going to kind of be a two-parter, and that's just because the Volgun version of SCP-343 is only about 5 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and get like the background on this SCP, and then I'll see the kind of the interview process, which I hear Tats TopVideos is really good about. So as always, I'm going to be leaving a link to the original channels and videos down in the description below. So go ahead and make sure you check them out. So continuing with this little arc of the Bible, in a sense, of the book of Genesis, where we looked at Cain, we looked at Abel, and now we're going to be looking at what's supposed to be known, from what I understand, supposed to be God. So we'll see if whether or not they actually talk about him in any of these videos in reference to him knowing about Cain, Abel, or even other SCPs. And if you're curious as to which SCPs or what videos in general I'm reacting to next, I'm going ahead and posting the next 5 reactions in the description. That way you can see in what order they're also coming in. And as always, don't forget to hit that like button. It really does help me out a lot. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell right there. That way you get notified every time I do upload. Sometimes I even upload twice a day, typically working on them in the mornings, and then release them in the late afternoon to late evening when you won't get off work. You can enjoy these videos at your leisure. So let's go ahead and get into it and see what SCP-343, or God, is all about.
Today we're going to be looking at SCP-343. Object class, safe.
Safe, okay.
Special containment procedures. SCP-343 resides in a 6.1 by 6.1 meter room at minimal security site 17. It should be brought any items it requests and visited by at least one staff member each day. Attempts to add further safety precautions or required clearances are unnecessary and impossible due to the nature of SCP-343. Description.
I mean, couldn't he do anything though?
SCP-343 is a male seemingly raceless humanoid in appearance with apparent omnipotence. SCP-343 was discovered walking the streets of Prague and detained after a member of staff witnessed him disappear from the streets and reappear on a rooftop. SCP-343 is detained willingly.
Okay, so he's there by choice then. I mean, I doubt they could force him either way.
Impossible. Addendum 343-1. SCP-343, colloquially named God by the staff here, looks like an older man.
Oh, he's just nicknamed God, so we don't know. So we don't know for a fact if he is or not.
Talk with him, he claimed to be the creator of the universe.
Oh well.
When I asked him to prove this, he laughed, walked through the wall of the chamber, and returned seconds later.
I mean, in his eyes, would you explain your life to an ant?
When I returned for a second,
as an analogy,
the previously bare cell had been furnished in upscale Old English style, complete with a roaring fireplace, and seemed many times larger than it did from the exterior. SCP-343 greatly enjoys speaking with people, and seems to have a knowledge of all topics. Visiting with SCP-343 has become a daily event for many of the staff here, and all employees report feeling generally happier after each visit. Attempts to bar staff below Level 3 clearance have proven unsuccessful, as guards assigned to watch the room quit their posts, saying, "You know, he likes company."
But why though?
Shrugging when questioned.
Or is he just genuinely curious as to what?
Since
I mean, he's supposed to be omnipotent, right? Like he knows everything.
Harmless, all staff have been allowed access, and somehow they all have time to meet with him for as long as they need. For now, I leave this report open as further questioning of SCP-343
does that mean he can kind of distort time a little bit?
Dr. Beck. Addendum 343-2. In regards to document 343-1A, there are no relevant records available or seemingly in existence, and similarly, all records of ever working with SCP-343 or Dr. Beck are missing and presumed non-existent. All staff questioned about the document convey ignorance of document 343-1A and claim not to have met Dr. In a related matter, Senior Officer Dr. Beck has requested a higher staff rotation, quote, to increase morale in worse-off sections, end quote. This was a very odd request and was the subject of further investigation. Other localized anomalies such as better health, greater job satisfaction, and lower fatalities in this section have led to the request being granted. This subject is now closed, on orders of O5.
Huh.
Addendum 343-3. Data recovered from routine check of Dr.
A lot of data lost. I'm assuming that's the author implying
Document
that
number
SCP-343 is kind of messing with
1A.
the logs.
Data lost as of data expunged. Visitors of SCP-343 are to be questioned as to their intent and data lost. Questions pertaining to the other SCP are to be
What would they talk
forth.
about though?
Data
Like just
lost.
daily
Orders
life,
of
or would they ask 343 questions?
Document 343-1B. Data lost. Apparently my orders have gone missing. This is the last straw. Dr. Bell. Data lost. All my reports and requests to higher-ups have gone unnoticed.
Okay, so we just saw the first video from TheVolgun. This was a couple years ago, so there wasn't a whole lot of information, but then again, I don't know if that's just the author, just the way he wrote it, kind of leaves him to be mysterious. But I hear this Tats TopVideos is very good at creating like the little interview part of SCPs. So these are top 26 questions to ask SCP-343. Let's go ahead and see how omnipotent he really is. I don't know if the shaking is a part of the... Oh, I think it's...
How do you feel about the title, God?
They got him looking like Zeus.
It is a privilege.
A privilege?
How would the world come to an end? And would it be by your hands?
I cannot answer that question.
The privilege one. The first question is raising some questions.
You claim to be the creator of the universe.
That is correct.
Can you currently create anything, or have your powers dwindled in time?
I relinquished a lot of my powers so that the universe might grow and develop as it has. My being was given to shape what you define as reality. My love has shaped what you know as morality, and I could go on and on. My eternal being resides within humanity, and I have given you a piece of me as well as my power. I am still an entity that has power beyond human imagination, but I shaped the universes from the powers I relinquished, along with the majority of what I was originally.
How do you feel about humanity as a whole?
Like father to his son, like a mother to her offspring, I am a loving being as you are toward those you hold dear. My feeling is absolute love and care to those I tend to, and humanity holds my greatest love.
But does this mean he also has a connection to other SCPs?
What is your purpose in life?
Because they're in the universe.
To simply admire and observe what was created from the singularity.
Why did you accept to be detained by the SCP Foundation?
I was courteously asked, but I was never detained.
I mean, I doubt they could detain him.
as the wind in a field of wheat.
How were you created?
Creation implies something of a beginning. Eternity does not apply to time as it is outside of it. For me, time is something that does
Is it
not
possible he's
apply.
from a different dimension?
I've always been.
And maybe
I
just
was
created
never
his own
created.
dimension?
What's the full extent of your power?
That question does not seem appropriate.
Ooh.
When you created the universe, why
Yeah,
did you create the
sensitive spot right there.
SCPs? What was the purpose of their existence?
Well, this is the question.
Every creature has its purpose, but some distort it. I'm not the progenitor of their vile acts. I gave them particular abilities with a set purpose, and some bastardized it.
So he created SCPs,
Then what about SCP-6?
but then SCPs kind of went rogue.
Why did you create that?
That creature is not made by my hands. It is something that does not need pitying. Sadly, I have no power or control over it.
Well, then I don't think they're ever going to kill him.
Do you have infinite knowledge? If so, do you know things that the SCP's Foundation need or would like to know, but instead keep for yourself, or keep for the purpose of maintaining humanity's safety?
To an extent, yes. Imagine seeing a spider web, and with each new strand it breaks off into something new and exciting. Knowledge works the same way, and all can be traced back to when the first human imagined what the world truly is like and how to explain it. As to your Foundation, I do not wish to share the secrets that might be corrupted through human evil, but there are others that I will gladly share with you.
Have you ever used your powers against an individual, or do you simply avoid such a thing?
I have no ill will to any entity, nor do I wish to wreak
What
harm
about
upon those who
like
even
682 or any other SCPs that are like very
Make
dangerous?
such vulgar displays of power unnecessary and immature.
Are there more like you?
I am within everything, so yes. In a
I mean,
way,
there's different dimensions, right? Different
innumerable
worlds.
amount of me.
So I would assume there would be one in each
could
one.
even say that I am chatting with myself right now.
Are you immortal, or do you have a lifespan?
That implies that I have beginning. For me, time is cyclical. Everything that is created dies and is then reborn. I am eternal, even though I must transfer bodies as I am subject to them, as I take this form before you.
Bodies,
Do you
does it
have
mean he
any
has to like have a
connection
host?
to SCP-049?
Plague Doctor. I remember that.
A dark spirit. A spirit I'm familiar with. A darkness follows him. A darkness that clouds even his own grasp on his intention. After so long, he's lost his way. But the dark touch of death is a maddening ascendancy. I know of his incarnations, all representations of necessarily evils that come up upon mortal life
Necessary
amongst
evils?
the everlasting stars. I feel great sadness for him, for his existence is by design madness.
So he is crazy, according to him.
Are SCP-073 and
Cain and Abel.
SCP-076,
We just
also
did a
known
video
as
on these
Abel and
guys.
Cain, truly the sons of Adam and Eve?
Come now, my young researcher. Do you expect me to expose all the secrets so easily?
Do you yourself fear
Really,
the
man,
eventual
really?
death of our universe? Of everything, even yourself?
Think of an acorn. When
Just
it
give a
grows
direct
into
answer.
A strong tree, it spreads its own duplicates as well as passing along everything the original acorn had. This universe is merely the duplicate in a long line of duplicates.
So we're
I
multiverse.
cannot die, but I can be recycled. That is how universe truly works.
Why is it that you keep coming back to your cell, if you are fully capable to move freely?
I come back as to honor the agreement I have with your organization. Furthermore, I feel that my presence would be severely missed by those who like to come and chat with me. I myself have become fond of these interactions.
But that's under the
When
assumption
the
that
SCP
everything is all
Foundation
honky
captured
dory,
you,
right?
what were you doing in Prague?
I simply wanted people watch and someone had seen me transport myself over to the city square. Prague is a beautiful city if you love to interact with people as I do.
But I thought you said you just want to observe.
If we were to set you free, what would you do?
I mean, he could technically get out of there
As I see it, my young researcher,
if he wanted to.
I have shown that your containment is ineffective towards me, but I
Exactly.
do love to humor your organization's attempts. I would simply enjoy watching humanity as I have through all these years, like an astronomer looking through their telescope. All I wanted to do is observe.
Should ask
Do
him
you
about
enjoy hanging with
dinosaurs.
Oh,
the Foundation?
I do, especially the conversation I'm having with you.
Something
However,
about
I
him
wish
that's just
the
very
other
ominous,
subjects that
in my
inside
opinion.
here wouldn't harm you all.
How can you happily allow us to contain you here while, in the world that you claim to have created, there are hundreds and thousands of people in pain and suffering, unaided by your powers? Is it not your obligation to serve and guide your subjects?
As time moves forward, we tend to forget about the past. I cannot justify the actions of beings that have chosen action that harms others in the case of human evil. However, I do recognize that there is an extent to which I am to blame for allowing free will and therefore suffering. Despite this, would it not be better to dictate and conquer one's own pain and suffering rather than go through life without having to know what it truly means to be saved? It is my obligation to observe,
In
not
a
to
sense,
serve, as I merely
persevering
give
with your own
humanity the
strength.
means, free will and love. But evil seems to have twisted the meaning of what I originally gave humanity.
Do you know
So essentially
the concept
someone
of
shouldn't be holding
fear,
your hand throughout
hatred,
life?
and loneliness?
I think, from what he's trying to say.
Fear is but a test to see how willing one is either to give in to and run away, or confront it. Fear is the emotion that tests you. Hatred is the emotion that is bastardization of love. Hatred is the emotion that makes the heart grow weaker from its use. In a sense, it is emotion of cowardice and weakness. Loneliness is the emotion that even I suffer from when I think of what humanity has done as in the past. It is an abyss that seemingly has no bottom, like a candle that is dropping down into a dark well. It is an emotion that one is tested when life is at its darkest.
When the time will come, will you unleash your wrath on those who defy you?
I have no control over the creatures of darkness, but I will help those who need it
Then
most.
how are they there, though?
Do you have any relationship with SCP-001?
The Gate Guardian, which is up next after this video. Come on, don't do that to me, man.
SCP-343, are you there? I think it's gone. This interview's over.
Let's go ahead and talk about that for a minute. So, like with any other SCP video, they're going to leave us on a cliffhanger. I just feel like these authors like to do that on purpose at this point. So, the part when he said in the first question about it's a privilege to be called God, that just kind of, it felt weird the way he said it. Like, privilege as it's saying, like, he doesn't actually see himself as one, or maybe just the word in general doesn't really, he feels like it doesn't apply to him, but that he's grateful that he's called that or referred to as that. So I really like this video because it gave a lot of questions that were kind of coming up in my head, and then they were actually being asked. And like, as far as like talking about the other SCPs, and then wondering that even if he is asked a question, he can literally refuse to answer if he wants to, like with the Cain and Abel question. He just didn't answer that, or with this last one with it. SCP-001 about the Gate Guardian, he just disappeared. But he's saying that he has no control. I believe he said he didn't have any control over the ones who were in the darkness, the SCPs. I want to say he did make SCPs, but it was supposed to be in a sense that he would just give them abilities, but a lot of them just kind of turned it into a... they kind of ended up using it in the wrong way of which he intended. And he says he has no control over 682, which is a little terrifying, considering that he's supposed to be the god in the SCP universe. And he starts talking about 049 a little bit, and when he says that he's lost his way, for some reason my mind was kind of going to like, what if SCP-049 was some kind of angel that turned into a demon, in a sense? I've heard people commenting, I've seen people comment that a theory was that the pestilence was supposed to be free will, and since free will has also given the people the option to do like pretty shitty things, he feels like the only way to stop it was to probably do his little zombification or incarnation of the people who had it. That way they no longer have free will and they can be set to do kind of like living in a dictatorship in a sense. Like there's no free will, so you can ensure like nothing bad is gonna happen if you so decide that. And I feel like that's kind of what he 343 probably meant. The 049 probably lost his way. So I'm very interested to actually see if SCP-343 actually interacts with other SCPs, or kind of see what conversation he actually has with the people who actually work at the Foundation site. But then again, that's gonna be it for this video. Loved it. Loved Tats TopVideos. I like just the way it all looked. They kind of made him look like this a little bit, but I loved it nonetheless. I love the voice acting. And as always, hit that like button. It really does help me out a lot. Hit that dislike button if you didn't like it. It really does help me improve the channel. Hit the subscribe button and the bell button so you get uploaded, so you get updated on every time I do upload. And until then, I'll go ahead and see you all in the next reaction video. Bye.